All right, I am here. Let me know what questions you have. All right, what can I do for you guys? If you have any questions on anything, we have one more topic next week. I know this new stuff just got set up yesterday, so. But I'm here if you need me to go over anything. All right, where are you confused, Krista? Excuse me, where are you confused? Give me an example of something you're confused on. Excuse me. So I know what to help you with here. Well, okay, so let's do this. Exponents are very straightforward, right? So if a number is raised to another number like so, all that means is you're multiplying whatever number's down here. I should have used something like 4 squared. You're just multiplying it twice. Okay, so if it was in a problem and it said something like 4 squared plus 8. Okay, so please excuse my dear Aunt Sally is how I remembered it, or PEMDAS. So exponents go first. So what I would do is take 4 times 4 first and then add 8. So it'd be 16 plus 8, which would be 24. Okay, that's exponents. Square roots are just the reverse, I guess you would say, of squaring a number. It's, I have a number like 144, and what number multiplied by 144, okay, or by itself would give me 144, and it's 12 is the answer. That one is try to figure out what the square roots are or memorize them. I mean, you could have cube roots and things like that. Now with integers, what we can do is, all right, so we know 3 plus 3 is 6. Okay. We also know that 3 minus 3 is 0. Okay. What they don't teach you in class is what they don't teach you when you're doing this is how could I put this politely? When they're teaching this in elementary school or in pre-algebra in high school, they teach you adding and subtracting, and then they add a whole new thing with integers, but you're really doing the same thing that you did here with the integers. Okay, and what I mean by that is, all right, so 3 plus a negative 3, all right, is really adding, negative 3, or you're really subtracting 3, which is 0. Okay? 3 minus a negative 3, what they tell you is, if you're subtracting an integer, all right, a negative integer from a positive, change the sign on both. Change the sign to addition and change the sign on the second integer, and you make 6. The thing is, you're doing that here. They don't tell you that when they first start teaching you subtraction, but you're really changing the sign on both. You're really doing 3 plus a negative 3. You're still getting 0. They just don't explain it that way at first, which I think if they explained it that way at first, when you got to integers, it would make more sense. So if I had something like negative 5 minus a negative 3, I change the sign, and I have negative 5 plus 3. And if you can't see that that's negative 2, what you can do is, draw a number line. Okay, draw yourself a number line like so. Put 0 here. Okay, and do negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. We'll go all the way out to negative 5 since that's what I did. Negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 until you get used to it. And what you could say is, okay, I'm at negative 5 and I'm going to add positive 3 to it. So I'm going to go, so here's where I'm starting. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 spots. So here's my answer. Okay. So you could do it that way too. So if you had something like, 3 plus a negative 4. Something like that. And you don't see that it's negative 1. What you can do is say, okay, I'm starting at 3 and I'm going to take 4 away. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I started here, 1, 2, 3, 4 away to the left, and that's my answer for this one. Okay, so you can draw yourself a little number line if that helps. So that's adding and subtracting. Now when I'm multiplying and dividing, the rule is this. Okay, so multiplying and dividing, 2 positives. All right, so this is going to be 2 positives. This is going to be multiplying and division. 2 positives are going to give me a positive. 2 negatives are going to be a positive. So if anybody tells you that you're very negative, tell them that as long as you have 2 negatives, you're a positive person. Okay, 1 positive and 1 negative will always be a negative answer. Okay. So if I take 2 times 2, that's 4. If I take negative 2 times negative 2, that's also positive 4. If I take negative 2 times a positive 2, that's a negative 4. Okay, it's the same thing with division. Now, like I tried to explain in the video, if I take, say, a 2 times 2 times a negative 2, And the same thing works for division. You work together. So 2 times 2, that's 2 positives. That's a positive 4. Now I have positive 4 times negative 2. That's a positive times a negative, so that's a negative 8. Ends up being our answer. Okay. Now, since we're talking about this, let's talk about what if I had, and we were talking about exponents, what if I had like negative 3 cubed? Well, let's start with squared, and then we'll do cubed. Negative 3 squared. So it'd be negative 3 times negative 3. 2 negatives, so 3 times 3, positive 9. Okay. If I had negative 3 cubed, it'd be negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9 times negative 3, negative 27. When you do a square root, okay, let's say we had the square root of 9. Okay, so what times itself gives me 9? Well, we know the answer is 3, but it's always plus or minus 3. Okay, when asked for a square root, usually they'll say what's the positive integer, but if they ask for what it is, I mean, negative 3 times negative 3 will give me 9. Positive 3 times positive 3 will give me 9. What you won't do is the square root of a negative number right now. That's imaginary numbers and things like that. We're not doing that because there is no number in theory on our number line that when multiplied by itself, it'll give me a negative value because it has to be a positive and a negative. Okay. Does that clear it up, Krista, or are you still confused? Other questions on anything? So coming up this weekend, I mean, you have the pre-algebra stuff to work on this week. Next week will be basic algebra, and then the first Sunday of November will be exam 2, which will be on measurements and all the algebra stuff. Any other questions on anything we covered? Are we doing all right with the work? Do you like this format where you get to work on your own? Feedback would be great because I'll be doing a class similar, probably doing a class similar to this in the spring. No, I'll give you like no, don't memorize how many, pounds are in a kilogram. In the problem, I'll give you that information. Or I'll have a sheet up online with all the conversions and things like that you can open up and see, or something like that. No, don't memorize conversions. No. Yeah, I don't even make my, science kids memorize. I think memorization of formulas and um, yeah, memorization of formulas and constants and things like that's a waste. Ah, were you in contact with somebody who had? You were in a class with somebody who had it. So I still don't know anyone personally who's contracted COVID. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, measurements, again, if everybody got on the metric system, it'd be fantastic, but I'll get off my soapbox on that. You could take my science course if you really want to hear me go off on the metric system. If Americans would just learn the metric system, we can get rid of cups, gallons, pints, quarts, and things like that. It'd be great. I was out the other day. I was waiting in line for something. I had my mask on, and I coughed into my elbow with my mask on, and everybody stopped and looked at me like I had the plague. I'm like, nope, just allergies and, asthma. Yeah, but I'll give you all the conversions and stuff like that. Or I'll give you a sheet. I can't remember how I set yours up. Let me, I have Blackboard open in a separate thing here. Let me see how. I might have put right in the assignments section a conversion sheet. No, I'll just give it to you on the exam then. Yep, I give you the conversions right in the problems. Actually. So, yeah. So we got that. You get the conversions right in the problems. So all good, but it's multiple choice too, so we got that going for us, which is nice. Because I already have this exam made up. I'm actually ahead of schedule, which is not. I mean, it's usually me, but I'm so busy now. My wife and I are expecting our second child within the next couple weeks. So we're running around trying to get stuff done. All right, what else can I do for you besides talk about my personal life? Thank you. So yeah, we're running around like crazy getting stuff done. We have people coming over to the house getting things painted and stuff that we need to get done. But I actually jumped ahead of schedule, got your exam done. I just have to get your video for algebra done. But is there anything like, do you guys like this format? Since I at least have one person talking to me. Do you guys like this format of you get to work on your own pace, or would you rather it, I mean, I can't change it now, but what I'm saying is, like, for future reference, would you rather it be you have to show up to class and that's when I lecture, or do you like it with this? Like this way. Good, good, good. Okay, so that's good. Give you a book? Here's the thing, Yusuf. I got added to this class the Thursday before school started. There was no book assigned, so I didn't want to force you to buy a book and spend the money on it. So that's what happened. I'm old school too, but with my pre-existing conditions, my wife being pregnant and me having a toddler at home, my doctor advised me to not be in the classroom. I wish I could be in the classroom. I realized by doing this for now essentially 2 semesters that, yeah, I like teaching, but I like the interaction in the classroom more. Yeah, that's the reason there was no book. I was pretty much asked with about a week before class started, not even. But if there's anything else I could do for you guys right now, I'll go over anything. But if you're good, well, I'll be back live Wednesday if questions hit. You know that you could post on the discussion board. And then next week, look for the algebra videos to go up. I'll get them up. And then in 2 weeks, 2 weeks yesterday, now you'll have an exam on this information, measurements and the algebra. Square roots are just something you kind of have to memorize. You know what I mean? There's no, you could ballpark it. If it asks for the square root of 110, well, 10 times 10 is 100, and then you could say, well, it's got to be 10 and change. But for the most part, you just have to, there's no trick to sit there and say, what number goes into both? You know what I mean? Or what number multiplied by itself, I should say, gives you the answer, is what I should say there. But you guys seem like you're doing well. The first exam was pretty good. We'll see what the second exam looks like. The third exam is only going to be on trigonometry. So yeah, I mean, there's no set way to do a square root if it's not a perfect square. If I said to you 146, what's the square root? So, like, the square root, like, if I said to you, what's the square root of 10? Right? What's the square root of 10? Well, 10's not a perfect square. I do know that 3 times 3 is 9. So I know that the square root's got to be 3. Right? And now there's 1 left over. 3 goes into 10. There's 1 left over. 3 1/3. So if I take 3.3 times 3.3, what do I get? You know what I mean? 9, 9, 9, 9. Right? And if I add them together, I get 10.89. So that's a little bit too high, right? So then I say, okay, well, 3.3 is too high, and go on from there. What they'll say is approximately 3 or like 3.1. You know, if I take 3.1, there's 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 3, 9. Now I'm at 9.61. You know what I mean? If I'm going to ask you a square root on the exam, it's probably going to be a perfect square. So the key is to know your perfect squares. One. Okay. You know, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, then 144, I mean, if you don't remember your perfects, let me see. I have it saved here. I will post it in the link. I know I have it saved because I saved it because it's really good. This one. Here it is. Mathdrills.com. That's where I get the sheets that I give you guys. If you need more, that's where I get yours. But yeah, if you know your perfect... So, how about this? So, I was just thinking about... If you know your perfect squares, it's essentially this. Okay, so 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, and then 2 times 2 is 4. And 3 times 3 is 9. And 4 times 4 is 16. And 5 times 5 is 25. Okay. Here's my first perfect square. If I take... I know this is going to sound crazy. So the next perfect square... So that's 1's perfect square, right? The next perfect square is this plus 2 plus 1. So there's 4. The next perfect square is this plus 2 plus 3. So 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 4 is 9. The next one is going to be 16. 9 plus 3 plus 4. 16. The next one is going to be 25. 16 plus 4 plus 5. I was just thinking about this just now. That it dawned on me. So that's 25. So 6 times 6 is 36, which is the perfect square of 5 plus the next one, 6, plus the original 5. So 11 and 25 is 36, then 49, then 56, and so on. So that's how, if you know your perfect square, your first one, which is 1, you just keep doing this. Add the next number plus the original to the square. Add the next number plus the original to the perfect square to get the next one. Add the next number plus the original to the square to get the next one. And so on. So 36, the next one would be 49. So 36 plus 6 and 7, which is 13, plus 36, there's your 49. So if they ask for like the square root of 50, you know it's about 7, because the square root of 49 is 7. All right, anything else, guys? So this video will still be up on YouTube. It'll be under the live section. I'll leave it up there. It'll get posted. All right, if you have nothing else, guys, I'm going to take off. I'll be live again on Wednesday. If you have any more questions or you just want to drop in to see what's going on. Always email me if you have any questions, or post them on the discussion board. I check that like 4 or 5 times a day. Plus, I'm always checking my emails when I'm by the computer. Because for whatever reason, LCC's email isn't great on Android phones. But that's just, maybe it's my phone. But, alright guys, if you do need me, I'll be here. Keep doing the